Bang, Neeves Knives. I'm Jared. My lovely wife Kara's at work. But luckily now I'm learning to edit, and so now I can start putting a lot more content out there that I want to do that I didn't have the freedom before to do. Today's video is going to be about knives that I've had problems with, or issues, or whatever, or things that I've caused, and what I did about it, or what I didn't do, so on and so forth. There is a lot of them, so I'm going to try to rush through some of them. All right, so this one, it's fine now, but it did, after a while of using it a lot, getting a lot of time out of it, and a lot of flipping, it did start getting lock rock. So I noticed that when I put ever so slight tension on the lock bar, it went away. So I took it apart and barely bent the lock bar over, just barely. And now you see it's really light lock up, but it's strong. It works really good. No lock rock, no blade play, and back to good action. And I believe it's still pretty much centered. Almost. I could probably center if I mess with the pivots. Okay. Now, if any of you guys are watching this and you gave me one of these knives, don't have no hard feelings. I love all these knives, and not only that, it gives me good content for the channel and gives me something to talk about and good learning curves, whatnot, and so forth. All right, the Benchmade Bug Out. I love this knife. Even got some new scales. You know, I dyed them charcoal gray because these were jade. But this thing will not stop breaking Omega springs. At first, this thing had the worst lock stick. And also, like when I went like this, it was like, it grinded so bad. Then the first spring broke, Omega spring broke. Then I put a new set on there. Then both of them broke. And now I put another new set on there. And now one broke. So normally what I do is I have another knife that, say, if I don't use as often, I send that in. I take the Omega springs out of that one as long as they fit, whatever I'm putting them in. And I send that one to Benchmade. They replace them. I get them back. I have some Omega springs to use. This time I'm ordering them myself. I did find some that are the same size, but they're supposed to be a little bit stronger. I ordered them like $6. So, yeah. Also, sometimes what I do is I take them out of Ganzos. But Ganzos were a little bit too heavy duty for a Benchmade. $20 knives, Omega springs were a little too heavy duty for a Benchmade. So couldn't use it because when I put them in, it created lock stick issues again. So I just figured, screw it. I'll just, buy the ones off Amazon. This knife came with a bunch of little issues, but I liked it, the ergo, so much. And it's such a good work knife that I looked past them. I used this thing so much and abused this thing so much that I wound up, I was at work and I needed a sharp knife so bad. I put it to the grinder. And you can see the tip here. I've resharpened it now, so now both the edges are actually really sharp. But, yeah, I messed it up. It was totally my fault, but hey, it's just something that you go through being a knife guy. It's a $30 knife. It also rubbed really bad originally. I have tuned it up. I wish you guys could see better. Damn it. Okay, if you can look, it's really not rubbing, but it used to really bad. You can see the little mark right there. That's actually from closing and it rubbing. Now it doesn't rub, but I don't know why they made one side thicker than the other side. I know they do have a lock over here. Maybe it has something to do with trapping the lock inside the micarta, but it made it to where the blade likes to sit on one side a lot more. So, this knife, great knife, great action. One of the most drop shutty, fall shut, not even drop shut, fall shut action CRKTs I've ever seen. I mean, this thing literally just drops shut, but detent lash. And what that is that's when the blade wiggles around while it's in the closed position, because your detent ball, or the detent hole, is bigger than the detent ball. So also the clip is really springy, and it wound up getting caught on another person and bending straight up. And next thing I know, I was at work, somebody, walked past me, and I looked over. They had my damn knife hanging from them. And I was super confused, but what happened was when we walked past and grazed each other, it literally ripped off on me and bent all the way up. I took it off and bent it back. Other than that, though, this thing has great ergos. I love the blade shape. And yeah, but yeah, small issues. This one is the spring. The Speed Safe spring broke. That is one good thing about CRKT springs, is they don't break like Kershaw's. I do love this knife, and this is a highly recommended knife to somebody getting into knives, or somebody just wanting a nice slicey little EDC blade. This thing is awesome, man. I can still flick it if I put a little wrist into it. But hey, I don't really mind that it's manual now. The only thing is it doesn't have a detent. So, but I love this Wharncliffe hollow ground blade. Man, I've done so much work with this, and it's almost retired. It's almost at 100%, but it has served me well. Now this knife, I did make a video about it originally. Originally, the detent was so strong, you could not use this finger hole for anything other than the thumb. I love the sound of it. Listen. Love that. Sounds amazing. But after flicking it thousands and thousands of times, eventually, the detent wound up lightening up, and now it's easy to use. But that wasn't really my issue. If you, I don't know if you guys seen the other video when I originally got it, but what happened was the lock bar would not lock up. It was such a light and early lockup that I could literally push down right here, and if I didn't like slam it open, I could literally just push it shut. I almost sent it back. I was like that close. Everybody was saying send it back, but I figured, no, you know what? I'm just going to flick it and flick it and flick it until it starts breaking in. And I'm kind of glad I did, because it took a long time, but it broke in. I love this knife now. And even though it took forever for that lock bar to get under the tang of the blade, it's locked up rock solid. And I can tell this is a knife that will last forever, because the lock bar is so tight in there. And moving so slowly. All right. Whew. All right. I got to start rushing through some of these. All right. ZT-0450. This damn thing. I love this knife. I love the ZT-0450. One of the best actions on a knife. I think it's great. I've modded this. I gave it the battlefield finish, or battle, whatever. I think it looks really cool. I have modded it a few different times. Because, and one of the reasons is because of this damn blade. This is S35VN, and it's the worst S35VN I've ever encountered, ever. Besides the fact that it's a small EDC blade that's thick as a brick and doesn't cut for crap because it's so thick behind the edge. Even though it's a good knife, I still like the knife, but it doesn't have a good grind. It didn't come with a good grind, but besides that, I've used more S35 probably than any other steel. I've sharpened more S35 probably than any other steel, and this is the worst S35 I've ever encountered. It seriously, excuse me, it basically sharpens up like chalk. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense, but like when you're sharpening it, some spots are hard and some spots are soft. Some spots sharpen, some spots don't do nothing, like just basically crumble. It makes it very difficult to sharpen. And even though I do have a sharp edge on here right now, it took so long to get this edge on here. And if I used it just a couple times, it would have spots all through it that are dull. So I did hear that some of their earlier models had bad heat treats, or should I say very low HRC heat treats. I don't know. I just think it's a bad heat treat altogether. Now this really isn't that big of an issue. I just figured I'd put it in the video because it's something to point out for other people to see. But you see how this kind of has a little bit of a recurve right there? It's because it doesn't have a sharpening choil. And when you start sharpening it, because they didn't pass the plunge grind right here, it's thicker right there. So this steel will sharpen faster than the thicker stuff. And you wind up with a little thing like that. Is that big of a deal? No. Could I put a sharpening choil in it? Yeah, I could. And it's not that big of a deal to me. And I love this knife. And also it does help with when you're cutting. You can literally just put this right up to whatever you're cutting and just start slicing. You don't have to worry about getting caught in the sharpening choil or anything like that. So it does have its benefits, I guess. Now this one, this is a little Emerson Kershaw. Might as well be a slip joint. The lockup is horrible. It just won't get on there. And even when it does, you could just push it and it'll close right up. So to me, it's a little slip joint. All right, now this one, this is a Dylan Mallory design, and I am not saying anything about Mallory designs or anything like that. It's the way this design was executed, because this is a great design. I mean, it's got good ergos. I love the blade shape. The action is phenomenal. I even love the sound of it. But look, the lockup is so late that I can literally push it off of there. If I go like this and push it, it'll literally just push right off of there and get stuck in between the blade and the handle. So that's really horrible, knowing that you know, the knife won't last long at all. And I know this is just a budget knife, but still though, I can think of many budget knives that last a long time. Also, if you look at it and I start going like this, let me see if I can get it on camera without cutting my finger off. The lock bar is shifting like that. So it's scary, you know, because you don't want your knife to fail, you know, and I believe that it would have lock failure. The other thing is this clip is super springy. One of the most springiest clips I've ever seen. I'm just going to use it for the hardware. You know, I noticed that this blue hardware does work in a Benchmade. Don't know if I'm going to use it or switch it, but you never know when you might need a part here or there or whatever. I never did a review on it because I didn't want to bash Dylan Mallory and make it seem like it was his fault. It's the way it was executed. So, not his fault. All right. Now this one's my fault. Oh, I was going to give this away. And I decided, normally I freehand, and even though I've done lots of sharpening on a fixed angled system, I made a rookie mistake on my fixed angled system, and that just goes to show that even a fixed angled system isn't perfect. You know, it still takes a human to operate it, and you do have things that can happen. And I'm somebody who knows how to sharpen, and I still made a rookie mistake. So what happened was after I made my rookie mistake, it made the edge bevel huge. And the other side did not match. Oh, it killed me. So what I did was I decided I'm just going to do a regrind. So I did a regrind on it. I think it came out pretty good. I think it actually came out really good. It's hard to show up on camera, but it used to be stone washed. And then I just freehanded a new edge. And the reason why I did a regrind on it is because it's really hard to come up on camera. It actually looks pretty good. Is because since the edge bevel was up so high, I couldn't fix that without grinding from here down and then meeting my new edge going up with the grind coming down. So I did a regrind on it. I'm gonna do one, sorry guys, I'm gonna do one more where I take a little bit finer diamond and go back over it. Oh, it sucks when you have something so reflective. There we go. But it does not look bad. It actually looks really good. Let's see if we get this side without it going haywire. It's not bad. It's actually really good. But so it made it to where I couldn't give it away no more. So not giving it away now, but I was going to give it away. Now I'm just gonna keep it. I mean, it's one of those things, and just give away something else. I am going to do a video though on how to do a proper regrind, or I don't know proper, but how to do a good regrind. Some more knives really quick. Blade broke at work, ground it down with a grinder. Just made it basically a scraper. This knife, don't remember, broke the tip. Not a big deal. I used this knife to scrape my my straps, scrape the compound off. This knife, this is really upsetting to me. That I love this knife. I really do. I like this knife so much. But the fixed pivot, it's supposed to be a fixed pivot. Do you see how it's smaller than the hole? It just spins in there. So when you try to take it off from this side, it literally just spins and spins. And then they used red Loctite on top of it. It was so hard for me to get this thing apart. And then even when I did, they put red Loctite on this screw back here, and I could not get this one off. So what I did was I basically got everything else apart, finally. And then I just took the two pieces and slid them like that, because I noticed that this started stripping out. And if you see this, well, this side actually does go into another screw, but these ones, they go right into over here. So if you strip out this side, you're screwed, or if you strip out the threads. But anyways, the biggest problem was this pivot, and yeah, it really was upsetting. I finally got it apart with you know, like where you put pressure on the blade, and you do all different techniques and blah blah, and finally I got it apart. But ridiculous. All right, this one, this is just a purchase, and how it came. It's a clone, and it's an actual real clone. I got it for a video, and then I was gonna do a matchup between a clone and a real one. Then I had to return the real one back to its owner before this one came. This one coming late, and I was also gonna see if the parts matched up. Anyways, the difference between this and this is a $20 clone. The difference is the fit, the finish. The detent is really light. In order to get this type of action, I have to have the pivot loose. Even though I have taken it apart and polished the pivot, I have to have some blade play. I don't mind the knife though, you know, it was just going to be a beater anyways and for a video. Also, the hardware is super, super shallow. Look at how shallow that is. That's literally the depth of it right there. I mean, there's no room to put a bit. It's almost just flat. But I did get it apart, remarkably. They didn't use any Loctite, so. And now it does have good action with a little blade play. And the steel, though, I don't know if this is real S30V, but it's definitely not like HCR or nothing. It's something that's more better than that, because it actually has really good edge retention. I was surprised how good the edge retention was on that. Whether it's S30V, I don't know. It was only a $20 knife. This knife, another, not clone, but it's kind of a copy. This one's got horrible detent lash too. This one's so bad to the point to where the tip will pop out a little bit. Not really worried about it. I kind of just bought it just to practice mods on. This was a long time ago, and I actually like this knife, man. The ergos, I love the shape of it. The action's amazing. It's locked up really strong, so it just has that detent lash. Alright, here's another one with detent lash. This one's pretty significant too. Yeah, it has good action, but damn detent lash. I do not like detent lash. I don't know if I'm as crazy about it as Metal Complex, but I definitely don't like it, and he's actually made me hate it even worse than I did from the start. This is a Ganzo, and this one's been abused so much, been hard used so much, that it's starting to get a little bit of lock rock. Now that's after some serious hard use. Plus, it's never broken an Omega spring. And their Omega springs are definitely stronger and more better. It's very smooth. And yeah, but it is what it is. It's almost retired. I mean, it still works really good. It's just I feel a slight bit of hiccup in there. Alright, this will be the last one, guys. This one got scratches from using it. It got scratches all up and down the blade, and it just looked horrible on its beautiful satin finish, so I decided to etch it and stonewash it, which came out very nicely. And that's it. Other than that, this knife is great. I put a nice heavy etching and stonewash on it. Highly recommend one of these knives. Yeah, great materials for the $50 value, titanium and carbon fiber. But yeah,